Council adjourned meeting to order for Monday, October 16th, 2006. Will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, Tracy.
Arbogast.
Here.
Garnis.
Here.
Gisselbeck.
Here.
Heller.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Meisenheimer.
Here.
Solberg. Walder.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
And York. Are you here?
I am here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Item number 1 is the motion to approve the minutes of the City Council 2006. Have a motion, please.
So move.
So moved by Alderman Heller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Solberg. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2 is special assessment roll for weed cutting. Tracy?
Thank you. You have a copy in your agenda packet of the list of several weed assessments, and just kind of as a refresher, I can lay the background for you. Under city ordinances, all property owners are responsible to control the weeds on their property, and the city does publish a notice in accordance with the ordinance each spring, and then once sometime in the middle of the summer to remind property owners that is their responsibility. Nevertheless, each year we have a few property owners that for whatever reason don't get the weeds taken care of and don't get mowed or sprayed as they are expected to, and ultimately it's typically the neighbors that will complain about that. And those complaints go through the process, and eventually if the weeds still don't get mowed, the street department does go out and do that, and we bill those folks for that. Most of those bills do get paid. However, when they don't, then by the end of the season, as we do now, we bring them to the city council, and those assessments, in accordance with our ordinance, are then placed on a roll before the council for approval. If the council approves that assessment roll, then it's assessed against the property, and eventually will be collected that way through the property tax system. So with that, that's really all the comments I have, unless council members have questions. I would point out to you you should have on your desk a faxed submittal from one of the folks on the assessment list here, Mr. Roger Conradi, who had taken exception to the amount that he had been assessed, or the assessment that he'd received. So you can certainly take that into consideration, and that's submitted as part of the public hearing.
Thank you, Tracy. I will now open it up for a public hearing, and we'll begin with one of the questions that Mr. Conradi had, and that was the area mowed was not in the city limits. Stan, could you address that, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As the council knows, we visited about this on other issues in the past. The city does have territorial jurisdiction to enforce its ordinances and resolutions, not only within the corporate limits of Watertown, but within 1 mile of the city limits as well. So this area was well within that territorial jurisdiction. So if the city did go out and abate weeds or do some mowing pursuant to the authority under the ordinance, that would certainly be legal and within the street department's power.
Okay, thank you. Mike, would you like to continue?
Yeah, just to say how we go about this process. The complaints are either called into our office or called into the fire department. We try to handle as many as we can there before they hit the paperwork procedure, but they're called into the fire department. The fire department inspects each complaint. They research who the owner is. They try to reach them by phone. They write to the owner a letter that they have to be mowed within 5 days, and then they turn it over to the street department, which we usually get it mowed within 5 days, unless unless it's too wet to get in there or some other. So this property in question here was notified on 24th of July by letter. So I suspect the trying to find him and lodge a verbal complaint with him probably started shortly after the 4th of July. His letter was addressed to him on July 24th. On August 3rd, I called him to see what he was gonna, because I knew I was already getting behind on this one, what his procedure was gonna be. He said he'd try to get it mowed that weekend, which he did attempt, but his mower broke down and possibly because it was so heavy mowing in there. I don't know what the reason. I called him again on the 10th, and that's when when he said that he wasn't going to be able to get it mowed, or at least not at that time. And then we started proceeding on the 14th of August, a few hours every day there until we came up with what it took to get mowed reasonably close to what we should be able to get mowed. He has mentioned in his letter that he had a farmer that used to put that up for hay, and as that area gets smaller and smaller, I've talked to this farmer that puts that up, and it gets more and more rutted up by construction equipment that's gone through there, debris, and just plain cuts through there and everything else. It was really a mess out there, not only in how the ground was laying, but the weeds that were on it. So while he has in the past had this farmer mow his hay, this year they just made a couple swaths through there, and that was, and I talked to him, and that's all they could get at because of rubble, cardboard boxes, styrofoam, whatever you might have in a weed patch.
One question I have, Mike, is when you notify them of you're going to be cutting the weeds, is there a legal description given of the property that's going to be mowed?
Yes, there is.
There
And
is,
usually,
okay.
and if it's in town, usually there's an exact address.
Okay, thank
The
you.
reason this doesn't have he denotes farther in his letter here that he hadn't even, what's he say? I just got this. I don't really know where it's at in this letter. Something about addressing it when well,
One of the questions was that it was, area
not in
was,
the city limits. However, it was everything that was addressed to that point was, the reason it was given this legal description on the weed notice is that it was the most current described address at the Register of Deeds office.
okay,
So that's all we can go by.
I see, okay, very good.
I might add too that the process that Mike described in terms of directly contacting property owners by letter or by phone is all above and beyond what the ordinance does require. That's, I think, really for two reasons. One, to give the property owner the opportunity to avoid the cost of having the city come in and do that mowing and have it billed against them. And two, I know Mike doesn't relish the thought of going out and mowing other folks' weeds if he doesn't need to. He's got plenty of other things to keep him busy. So those are all efforts that his department takes on to try to minimize the number of these properties that the city street department does have to mow. It's not required by ordinance.
Anything else, Mike, you want to
Well,
add?
just that the hours are accurate, they're fair, and the rate is fair.
Okay,
And I don't know what else I could add to make you feel any better about that, but
okay,
I know we've really tried to clean that area up, and it gets tougher and tougher every year unless property owners will clean up a large area where they've dumped a lot of rubble and debris.
okay, thank you, Mike.
Mike, I see there's three others. Is it three? Yeah. There are four others. Could you give us the addresses of those properties?
Not tonight, I can't, Gordy, but I can give them to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd like to know, because I had complaints on a couple of them, and I can't tell whether these are the properties.
I didn't bring that along. I usually don't.
Okay. Fire chief, would you know if these are the ones that I handed?
Possibly if I saw the addresses, but typically it's the captains who take care of that. So
Gordy, I guess I can answer some of it. I met with Roger Conrady today, and he gave me a map. It is 10 blocks, 5 on each side along Lincoln Avenue, which is just off of 19th, the last street before you hit 14th Street.
That's yes, but here's one
I
about
was
the others.
I was referring about the other four.
The other 4 that was mowed?
Yes.
Okay. I met with him, and I guess I didn't totally read through that. The other 4 is the very corner of 19th and 14th Street. That corner.
The other four that are on this list?
Oh, okay. I thought you were still on Roger Conrady, so.
No,
Okay.
I know where his is, but
Mike, is there anything else you'd like to add? No? Okay, thank you.
will you get me those addresses then?
Yes, I will.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak before the issue? If not, then I'll close the public hearing and go for council action.
Make a motion to approve the assessments.
There's been a motion to approve the assessment by Alderman Johnson and a second by Alderman Heller. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
would like to amend the motion in that the assessment for Roger Conrady be moved to the November 6th council meeting.
Okay, there's an amendment to the motion. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second that. I know Roger wants to have a chance to be heard, and he couldn't be here tonight, so I will second that.
Seconded by Alderwoman York. Any discussion? If
Does
not,
that, does that
whoops.
create any issues as far as getting the assessments filed this year?
Typically, the county has been very cooperative about that. We're supposed to have them to the county by the 1st of November. Like I say, in the past, we've submitted them after that date, and they've cooperated and put that on there. So I would hope that would not be a problem.
Okay.
In the discussion, the reason I made the amendment was I met with Roger today and went up to his place and he showed me. And he was given notice on 10 blocks that it was to be mowed. He mowed 5 of them himself, he said, but yet he got assessed for that. The city came in and mowed 5 of them, and he is more than willing to pay for those 5 blocks. And then he didn't get noticed on some of the other property that the city came in and mowed, and he got assessed for that. So he would like to be here at the next meeting to explain his efforts.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, in Mike's defense, whether he mowed 5 or he mowed 10, he says his hours that were put into it are fair, or what the amount of time that they spent mowing his property. So I think we need to keep
The
that in
stuff was,
consideration.
I don't know if I can talk, but the stuff was 4.5, 5 feet deep. And I'm sure that's probably most likely why a different mower would break down in there. You know, I don't know that for sure, but it's a pretty good indication.
No, my mower won't get through it.
And I'm not questioning Mike and that. He did get assessed, he said, for the 5 blocks that he did mow. And he's questioning that. And then he's questioning the point that he did not get notice, and that property was mowed, and he got assessed on that. So those are the 2 things, and I think it'd be just right for him to have the chance to come here before us and explain his side of it.
Okay, there's amendment to the motion, and the amendment is to exclude Mr. Conrady's property until the next meeting. There's a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I believe, okay, let the record stand that Alderman Wilson said nay, and the rest was yay. So the motion carried.
Mayor, yeah, and Mayor, if you'd now take action on the motion as amended.
We approved the amendment, now we gotta do the motion.
Okay, so now we need to approve the motion with the amendment. Is there a motion, please? No, the motion is, okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried with the amendment. Moving on to item number 3 is authorization for the planning and zoning official to approve plats resolution number 06-48. Stanton?
Thank you, Mayor. As many of you know, for months, the Plan Commission's been discussing the subject of administrative approval of plats. The issue was first raised by Alderman Wilson, who is the liaison to the Plan Commission. After a council meeting, Larry asked me whether all the plats that you folks approve at council meetings need to come before the city council. I told him they don't, because state statute provides for an administrative approval process that can potentially save applicants weeks of time in the platting process. I know this process is used both presently in Rapid City and Sioux Falls. Under state statute, an administrative official can be designated to approve plats in lieu of the governing body if it appears, and I'm reading straight from state statute here, if it appears that the systems of streets set forth therein conforms to the system of streets of the existing plats of the municipality, that all provisions of any subdivision regulations have been complied with, that all taxes and special assessments upon the tract or subdivision have been fully paid, and that such plat and the survey thereof have been executed according to law. So the Plan Commission liked that concept of administrative approval and directed me to draft the resolution that's before you tonight. The resolution appoints the administrative official for Watertown as the planning and zoning official, and if a decision is made that a plat shouldn't be approved administratively, the resolution indicates that decision about how to handle a plat won't be subject to appeal. But state statute does say that in the unlikely event that administrative official were to deny a plat administratively, he can then appeal that decision to the city council. I only anticipate this process would be used in the clearest of cases where it doesn't make any sense to make an applicant wait several weeks for the scheduling of meetings before the Plan Commission and the City Council. And I don't think it would ever be used in a case where the planning and zoning official would likely recommend a plat be denied. So tonight, the Plan Commission's recommended that you adopt this resolution setting up this process, and they have asked that the first 10 plats that would be approved using this process come back before them so they can see how much time it saved the applicant and how the process has worked.
Okay, in order to have discussion, we'll need a motion, please. So moved by Alderman Giselbeck. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Wilson. Any further discussion?
I guess I have a question. You're saying that there is a way of appealing it if they deny a plat?
Yeah, let's say hypothetically a plat comes before the administrative official. He says, yeah, we don't need to run you through the Plan Commission, the City Council. I will take action on this plat administratively. For some reason, the administrative official, once he makes that decision, elects down the road after reviewing the plat to deny it. The administrative official stamping denial on that plat, under state law, they would be able to appeal that administrative denial to you folks at the council.
But yet in this ordinance or this resolution, it states that there will not be any right of appeal. Why is that in the ordinance? And if there isn't a right for appeal?
And maybe I didn't make that clear, Mr. Meisenheimer, but I did make a distinction in the language of the resolution. His decision about whether or not to approve a plat administratively or take action on it, his decision about whether or not to use that process isn't subject to appeal. It's the denial under state statute if he were to deny a plat that's subject to the appeal. But it gives him discretion. I choose to approve a plat administratively because it's so simple that there's no reason to waste the council's time or this applicant's time. That decision administratively, whether or not to take the plat under review using the language of the resolution, somebody can't say, you should have approved this one administratively, I want to appeal that decision. That's what the resolution tries to set out, that decision about whether or not to approve it administratively won't be subject to appeal. Does that make sense?
It will certainly speed the process up for those plats that are pretty just cut and dry, and certainly will help speed things along. Any other discussion?
How much time would actually be saved by using this process?
Hypothetically, a typical plat application would come in. It'd be set up for a hearing by the Plan Commission where they'd make the recommendation for you folks to approve. Between the Plan Commission meeting date, getting it on the agenda in time to meet the submittal deadline, going through the Plan Commission process, then the recommendation coming before the City Council. In some cases, Al, that can take 6 weeks.
The only other question I would have is, say on a buddy system that this person approved a plat and several of the neighbors did not like that judgment, and there is no appeal process to then go through to deny it. That would be the only thing I would be somewhat worried about.
You're saying favoritism, Denny?
Yes.
Okay.
The public would still have the ability to go into court and to seek some remedy, judicial remedy, whether it be a mandamus, an injunction. The court would be open to them if they were somehow aggrieved by the administrative official approving a plat.
How does the whole process go when somebody's going to have a plot approved? Do they send out neighbors to the neighborhood or letters to the neighborhood
There's no
notifications?
public notice requirement.
There is
for
no
plat
public
approval.
notice.
No.
Any other questions? If not, then all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Let the record show that Alderman Meisenheimer voted no. And the rest were all yes. Motion carried. Next, we'll move on to item number 4. Consideration of bids received for the airport improvement project contracts. These motions for both A and B need to be in specific wording. And Eric, you'll lead us through that, please?
Okay, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Today I come before you to request the authorization for the mayor to sign these 2 bid tabs, A and B. It's for an AIP project that's planned for 2007, and if there's any questions, Sam Montaigne from Helms Associates here, and he can answer any that I'm unable to. On October 3rd, 2006, the City Finance Department opened 4 bids for bid Schedule A, which is the site work and paving. Midland Contracting, Inc. out of Huron, South Dakota, had the lowest bid for $5,719,756.36. At this time, I would request that the award for the AP project, and this is kind of a long number, 346-5818/19-2006, is made to Midland Contracting, Inc. out of Huron for that $5,719,756.36.
That's the motion you wish to have?
That is the motion, just authorizing Midland Contracting for that AIP project for
Okay.
that amount.
All right. Is there a motion to that effect?
I might add to that, that needs to be subject to DOT approval and in compliance with the DBE requirements for
Right.
for the contract. This does come to you with the Public Works Committee recommendation for approval.
But is the wording correct the way it should be, Herb?
The wording is also in your packet on, I think it's the 4th page or so, the one that starts with Dear Herb. Near the bottom, the motions for award should be read as follows. The word of there is tentative award for AP project 346-5818/19-2006 is made to Midland Contracting, Inc. out of Huron, South Dakota for $5,719,756.36. Subject to South Dakota Department of Transportation approval, receipt of a grant offer, and applicable DBE participation or good faith effort documentation.
Okay, thank you. That's the motion. Is there a motion? So moved by Alderman Meisenheimer. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any further discussion?
Just so we understand it, this is the narrowing of the runways, right?
That is one part of the project, yes.
What else?
The other part is, the main part is to construct a parallel taxiway that runs from south of runway 1230 to the turnaround on 35. It's about a 5,000 foot long taxiway. Is that about right, Sam? It's 50 feet wide, and the project also includes the replacement of every single light on the airport. So,
Any other questions? If not, then all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item B is the electrical. Eric?
okay, this is similar to the first one. On October 3rd, 2006, the City Finance Department opened 5 competitive bids for bid Schedule B. The lowest bid was received by Muth Electrical out of Mitchell, South Dakota for $1,326,511.60. Excuse me. And at this time, I'll read the exact motion for you again. To award AP project number 346-5818/19-2006 is made to Muth Electric, Inc. out of Mitchell, South Dakota for $1,326,511.60, subject to South Dakota Department of Transportation approval, receipt of grant offer, and applicable DBE participation or good faith effort documentation.
Is there a motion, please? So moved by Alderwoman Walder, seconded by Alderman Heller. Any further discussion? If not, then all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Eric, what's the city's share on that?
I do believe the city share, as it would stipulate right now, I think the project comes to about, the total grant is about 7.9 million, so it's going to be about $235,000, somewhere around that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
The exact amount was $237,478 for the city's 3% match.
The letter also says that we need to authorize the mayor to sign the notice of award.
That is what he's doing
And
tonight, signing the
contract
bid
documents.
Schedule A's and bid Schedule B's.
Okay, as long as we.
Okay,
We need,
I believe so, as long as that also included signing contract documents, because the next step will be,
Well, that
the
is
notice
what-
of award is already submitted here, needs to be signed by the mayor, but then we will send out contracts to the contractor, get them to sign them, and then submit them to the city. So if he has authorization, the mayor is authorized to sign those now,
I would,
We don't have to wait till the next.
Yes, Brad, would you want
I
to
would
make a?
I would make that a motion that the mayor is authorized to sign the notice of award and contract documents.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Gizelbeck. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now I know we have it all done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the renewal of the flexible benefits plan agreement with Wellmark Incorporated for 2007 fiscal year. And Tracy?
Thank you. This is, as the agenda item indicates, a renewal of our contract for the administration on our flexible benefits plan. That includes the pre-tax insurance premiums for the employee group health insurance plan, the medical reimbursement accounts, as well as the dependent care reimbursement accounts. The total cost this past year was about $5,200. I'm anticipating, based on a modest discount they're offering on our per participant costs, that will go down just slightly for the coming year. So I would recommend you approve this renewal.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there a motion, please, to approve? Motion by Alderman Wilson, seconded by Alderman Gizelbeck. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, let the record stand, Alderman Garnos instead of Alderman Gizelbeck made the second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6 is acceptance of a quick claim deed for Lot 12, Block 1 of Westview 3rd Edition for use as a stormwater detention. And Dave?
Yes, you have in your packet a copy of a map showing the location of this stormwater detention pond, and also a copy of the quitclaim deed for this property. During the planning process for this subdivision, it was determined that a stormwater detention pond was needed, and that detention pond would be turned over to the city for ownership and maintenance, as we have in most of the other detention ponds throughout the city. And we're coming to you tonight to ask for your approval of this quitclaim deed. This comes with the Public Works Committee recommendation for approval.
Is there a motion to that effect, please? Motion by Alderman Wilson, second. Second by Alderwoman Walder. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7 is authorization to advertise for bids for the 2007 supply of petroleum products, street maintenance materials, asphalt, concrete, and milling and concrete construction. And that's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, it is. It's the same thing we've done
For the last
several
100
years.
years. So is there a motion to that effect? So moved by Alderman Garnis, seconded by Alderman Solberg. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8 is authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement with Helms and Associates for professional services related to the landfill solid waste permit renewal. Mike Berger?
Thank you, Mayor Fox. The existing landfill permit will expire on March 11th, 2007. Prior to that, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources requests an application to renew this permit be submitted prior to December 11th, 2006. To accommodate this, I would recommend that we enter into an agreement with Helms and Associates to provide the professional services for the permanent renewal. This is a service they have provided for us in the past. The services include, among other things, a 5-year update to the comprehensive solid waste plan, information on the type and sources of waste that we receive, the landfill facility design information, information on groundwater and surface water protection measures, landfill utilization estimates, financial assurance information, and closure and post-closure plans. Again, Helms and Associates has provided this for us in previous renewals, and specifically the last one. And so I would request permission for the mayor to sign an agreement with Helms and Associates for this service. We have budgeted $9,160 for this in the 2007 budget, and this does come with the October 10th Public Works Committee approval.
Is there a motion to that effect? So moved by Alderman Gizelbeck. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Meisenheimer. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mike. Item number 9 is a motion to acknowledge notice of a raffle to be conducted by the LATI Children's Educare Center. Is there a motion to that effect? So moved by Alderman Solberg. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Walder. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a motion to approve the business license applications for C&D Heating and Cooling for gas fitting contractor for a fee of $100, and then Denai Welding for gas fitter for a fee of $25. Could I have a motion to approve those two business licenses? So moved by Alderman Garnos. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Alderwoman York. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we move to the open, and I believe there's a handout that you'll need to refer to. There's two items that we need to deal with. And on the open, item number 1 is a motion to approve a change order to contract with Wanzek Construction for the Family Aquatic Center project. $38,000 is settlement of the request for equitable adjustment. Roger, will you be addressing that, or Tracy? Or excuse me, or Stanton?
Yeah, the motion, request for a motion would be to approve a change order for an add 38,000. That's the amount that the city's negotiated in a settlement for the request for equitable adjustment with Wanzek Construction. And we bring it to you tonight in the open because of the bill cutoff this Friday. We'd like to include it in their pay request this month. I think Stanton mentioned at the Public Works Committee meeting that there was a settlement, and we'd be bringing forth a motion for a change order.
Okay, is there a motion to approve that change order? So moved by Alderman Heller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Alderman Giselbeck. Any discussions or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Roger. Item number 2 on the open agenda is the update on the Roby Creek Drainage Project. And Herb, would you be addressing that?
I would be. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. As part of the 2007 budget process, the council approved $100,000 for the aesthetic restoration of the Roby Creek area. I think some of you went and viewed it last fall. Ardell Lawson Engineering has proposed starting some survey work and data collection yet this fall, early this winter, before it gets too cold here. What that'll allow Austin Engineering over the course of the winter to do design work and to get bid documents prepared so that, you know, hopefully we can come out of the chute right at the beginning of the spring and get that work completed. As a precaution, we've asked Ardell Lawson to go out and take a look-see at, at some of the backyards that we're talking. I think 7 or 8 property owners that are actually affected here. Take a look-see at the potential earthwork that needs to be done to make sure that there isn't going to be some dramatic change to somebody's backyard that they weren't in favor of. We want to bring those folks back in one more time after Ardell has done that and said, here's what we anticipate in terms of impact to your property. Do you have any problems? Because we don't want to go out and spend a whole bunch of money here up front if we've got someone ultimately that ends up being opposed to having his or her backyard changed dramatically. So we'll hopefully get these folks together next week and let them know that. And I would anticipate that sometime before the end of the year we'll be back in front of you requesting a contingency transfer of about $5,000 to pay Austin Engineering for their work. That's the update. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Such a short-term transfer is all it is, isn't it, Herb? Yeah.
Yeah, in essence, from the 2007 budget to get some work done early just to get in front of the project.
Okay. Are there any questions for Herb at all? If not, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is old business. Is there any old business to come before the council? If not, any new business? Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's old business. I would like to ask.
Sir, who are you? You want to identify
Paul
yourself?
Larson.
Pardon me?
My name is Paul Larson.
Paul Larson? Okay.
I wanted to ask if the city is doing anything about the intersection of 212 and corner of Walmart with the street light. Are they fixing any of those where the lights are always green and the turn signal is still green at the same time?
Herb, could you address that?
Honestly, I can't. I know that the DOT has been doing some study out there, but in terms of of changes to lights. I think they were going to do some adjustments on timing, but I don't know that their study's done yet. If
Why
you
does it take a study? If the lights are green at the same time, I don't see why that's such a problem to figure out.
Well, honestly, first that we're aware of the project, we'll be happy to, get some information from you and do some quick follow-up and then get back to you if that'll answer the question.
It's a
It's rather simple. The light is green arrow, and it's green from the other way, so people run into each other.
It's a state highway issue, and I think we'll have our staff relay your concerns along because it's their intersection, and the police chief's back here too.
Chief Vitek, would you want to throw in some information?
Sure. When we had our government for a day, Capitol for a day, we had a direct audience with the Secretary of Public Safety. We expressed our concerns at that time to Mr. Dravlin, Tom Dravlin. I just saw him about a week ago at a graduation in Pierre at the Law Enforcement Training Center, and he has assured me that we should hear something from him within about a couple of weeks. Myself and the Sergeant Snetler of the Highway Patrol expressed our concerns, the same concerns that you have. And right now what the gentleman's talking about is that on the east and west traffic, if you're there at the intersection, the traffic that would be making a left-hand turn into Walmart has a green light, while simultaneously the eastbound traffic would also have a green light. However, it is signed. What we've expressed to Mr. Dravlin is that we think that it should be a designated turn green arrow only, and that's coming from the Highway Patrol and the city police department. So we've expressed that, and we're looking forward to hearing from him, and that was done Capitol today. So it is in the works. But as the city...
I don't think that's quick enough when people have been killed at the intersection.
Well,
I think you need to get a red light in there and get it a little more faster than what you're doing.
Well, as you recognize, that is a DOT highway, and that is the action that we've taken thus far.
Anything else, sir?
No, not at this time. I just think they need to address the fact that, yes, the newspaper says 3 people have been killed there already. Putting your hands behind your back and waiting for a study is not necessarily getting things done properly and on time.
Mr. Larson, if you will give Mr. Peterson your phone number, I will make a phone call tomorrow and give you a call back.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business. Is there any new business to come before the council? Any liaison member reports?
Safety Committee meeting tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Right here in the council chambers too, right?
In the council chambers, that's correct.
Good. We have a ribbon cutting?
We haven't got the date set yet, but it's close.
Okay.
I can tell you that they've got a moving van scheduled for this Thursday to move their items from all the different places in town that they've been living out of for many years, and I know they're excited to get in there. So we'll look forward to getting them there, and ribbon cutting announcement will be forthcoming.
Any other little gems? Anything else? Yeah. All kinds of good news. We will need to go into executive session to discuss some negotiations, and when we return out of the executive session, we may be taking action. So I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session. So moved by Alderman Solberg, seconded by Alderwoman Arbogast. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We will go into executive session. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting.